Fellas, imagine this. Every time you walk into a room, she can't take her eyes off you. She's constantly thinking about you, wondering why you aren't texting her back, and when you do, she feels an intense excitement she can't explain. High-value men know exactly how to create this reaction, and if you think it's just about looks or money, you're missing the point. Stick with me, and I'll show you the secrets that go way beyond the obvious. Section 1. The power of unpredictability. All right, let's dig deeper into this. One of the biggest reasons high-value men make women obsessed is because they master the art of unpredictability. Most guys make the mistake of becoming too available, too predictable. Think about it. If you're constantly texting back within seconds, showing up whenever she calls, or planning your entire schedule around her, you're essentially sending a message that she has you figured out. There's no challenge, no mystery. And if there's one thing women crave, it's excitement and the thrill of the unknown. High-value men, on the other hand, know that predictability kills attraction. They don't reveal their entire hand. Instead of following the pattern that most men do, they live by their own schedule. They're not rushing to respond to every text or bending over backward to be available whenever she's free. Why? Because they have their own lives, ambitions, and priorities that come first. This doesn't mean they ignore her. It means they're selective about when and how they engage. They might respond quickly sometimes, and other times they might take hours or even a day. This keeps her on her toes, wondering why he's different and what he's up to. When a woman doesn't know where she stands with you, or when she can't predict your next move, it triggers a psychological response in her. She begins to analyze every detail, replay conversations, and overthink why you haven't texted her back. She starts to crave your attention, not because you're playing games, but because your life doesn't revolve around her. And that's something she respects, even if she won't admit it. This unpredictability works especially well when you combine it with authenticity. Don't try to act mysterious for the sake of it. Instead, fill your life with things that genuinely interest you. Whether it's hitting the gym, working on a project, or hanging out with friends, make sure you're busy. The more you immerse yourself in your passions, the more it shows that you're a man with depth, a man who isn't sitting around waiting for her next move. Example: let's say she texts you at 10 p.m. asking what you're up to. Instead of replying immediately and giving her all your attention, wait until the next morning to respond. When you do reply, keep it casual, like, "Hey, just saw your text. Was finishing up some work. How's your night?" This shows you're not just hanging around waiting for her text. It creates the impression that you have your own life, and when she sees that, she'll feel intrigued and eager to know more about what's keeping you busy. But be careful here. Unpredictability doesn't mean you disappear entirely or start playing childish games. It's about balance. You want to be consistent enough so she knows you're interested, but just distant enough to keep her guessing. That way, she's hooked, always wondering what you're up to, and looking forward to the next time she gets to see or hear from you. Section 2. Mastering the art of intentional distance. Let's expand this concept of distance because, when used correctly, it's a powerful tool in creating obsession. First, understand this isn't about ghosting her or being unavailable 24/7. It's about creating a sense of independence and freedom in your dynamic. High-value men know that when a woman is constantly in their presence or always in contact, she doesn't have the chance to miss them or appreciate them fully. Space allows her time to reflect, think, and most importantly, crave. When you give her space, it allows her imagination to run wild. She begins to think about you more often and wonders what you're doing and why you haven't reached out. It's during these moments of silence that she begins to question her feelings for you. Without that distance, she doesn't get the opportunity to feel that longing, that anticipation. When you're constantly available, she never has time to miss you, and that's what keeps her feelings on the surface. High-value men use this to their advantage. They don't check in every single day, and they don't plan their entire week around her schedule. They might go a couple of days without reaching out, allowing her to initiate contact first. And when she does, that's when you know she's thinking about you and missing your presence. But this isn't just about making her miss you, it's about maintaining your sense of self. When you prioritize your own life and passions, you naturally create distance without even trying. You show her that you're not desperate for her attention, and that makes her crave it even more. Intentional distance also means controlling your own energy. When you do reconnect with her, you bring something new and interesting to the table. Maybe it's a story from your week, a new achievement, or a hobby you've been working on. This shows her that while you value your time with her, you're also capable of enriching your own life independently. Example: let's say you and this woman had an amazing weekend together. Instead of immediately texting her the next morning, give it some time. Let her sit with the memory of the weekend. Don't immediately fill that space with small talk or validation. When you finally do message her, make it something light, like, "Hey, had a great time the other day. Hope your week's off to a good start." It's confident, casual, and doesn't over-invest emotionally. The key here is to make her feel your absence in a way that keeps her wanting more. If you're constantly in her life, there's no room for mystery, no time for her to wonder what's next or miss the excitement of being around you. High-value men know that space creates attraction, and when she's given that time to miss you, her feelings for you deepen and become more intense. Intentional distance isn't about manipulation. It's about maintaining a healthy sense of individuality. It's about ensuring that you both have the time and space to appreciate the moments when you do come together, rather than making it a constant everyday routine. This balance is what keeps her intrigued, wondering, and, ultimately, obsessed with you. Section 3. Emotional impact over physical attraction. Here's where most guys go wrong. They think physical attraction alone is enough to make a woman obsessed. Sure, looking good, working out, and dressing well can get her attention, but if you want her to become truly obsessed, you need to connect with her emotionally. High-value men know that women are emotionally driven, and when they tap into this, it's game over. Think about it. A woman may be attracted to a man's looks, but what keeps her coming back is the way he makes her feel. If you can make her feel special, understood, and appreciated in ways that other men don't, you create a deeper, emotional connection. This doesn't mean showering her with compliments. Anyone can do that. It's about being present and attentive in the moments that matter. For example, instead of telling her she looks good, notice the small things. Compliment the way she laughs or the way she talks about something she's passionate about. It shows that you're paying attention beyond the surface. When she feels that you genuinely understand her and see her for more than just her looks, she'll start feeling something deeper. And it's that deeper connection that creates attachment and obsession. But here's the twist. You also need to balance that connection with independence. You don't want to become her emotional crutch or someone who's constantly available whenever she needs a boost. Make those emotional moments count, but don't overdo it. Make her earn those connections. Let her see that you have a life outside of her and that you're not just there to make her feel good all the time. When she senses that you're emotionally available yet independent, she'll chase that feeling, wanting to experience more of that high she gets from being around you. Example: if you're having a conversation and she opens up about something personal, don't just nod and agree. Dive deeper. Ask her why that matters to her, how it shaped her, or what it means for her future. Show genuine interest, and she'll feel that emotional connection with you. But don't do this every time. Mix it up. Sometimes keep conversations light and fun, leaving her wondering when she'll have another deep connection with you. Section 4. The art of non-validation. High-value men understand that validation, when used sparingly, becomes a powerful tool. Most men make the mistake of constantly seeking a woman's approval, whether it's through excessive compliments, always agreeing with her, or jumping at every chance to give her attention. The problem with this approach is that it shows you're too eager and that you place her approval above your own self-worth. Women often interpret this as a sign of insecurity or desperation. High-value men know they don't need to seek validation from anyone because they are secure in their own value and purpose. When you practice non-validation, you send a subtle but strong message. You are not like other men. Instead of chasing her approval, you remain indifferent. You maintain a calm and composed demeanor, and you do not react to her attempts to gain your attention. This creates a sense of curiosity and intrigue within her. She begins to wonder why you aren't reacting like other men. This mystery is what makes you stand out, and why she becomes invested in seeking your validation. The trick here is to make your validation rare and meaningful. When you do give a compliment, it should feel like it's earned. This doesn't mean you should never compliment her or appreciate her efforts, but those moments should be infrequent enough that when they happen, they carry a lot of weight. Think about it. If you shower her with compliments every time you see her, they lose their meaning. But if you hold back and give genuine, thoughtful praise only when it truly matters, she will value it so much more. Example. Let's say you notice she's dressed up for an evening out, clearly putting in effort. Instead of immediately acknowledging it with a generic compliment, observe her for a while. Engage in the conversation without mentioning her appearance. Then, at a later point, when she least expects it, say something like, "I really admire how you carry yourself with confidence." This shows that you're not focusing on her looks alone, but on her presence and attitude. She'll remember that compliment because it's rare and meaningful. Furthermore, practicing non-validation doesn't mean being aloof or distant all the time. It means valuing your attention and offering it selectively. You're creating an environment where she has to work for your approval, which makes her feel invested. When she begins to put in effort to gain your validation, it creates a dynamic where she's working to impress you, not the other way around. Section 5. Strategic absence. The scarcity principle. Scarcity is a fundamental principle in psychology. People value what they perceive as rare or hard to obtain. High-value men know that making themselves too available diminishes their perceived value. If you're constantly around and easily accessible, there's no opportunity for her to miss you. The goal isn't to play hard to get, but to establish a life where you're genuinely busy with your own priorities. This naturally creates moments of absence, making her appreciate and crave your presence more. Creating strategic absence is about building anticipation and excitement. When you spend time together, make it count. Be present, be engaging, and create memorable moments that leave a strong impression. But after you've had a great time, step back and give her space. Don't immediately fill that gap with texts or phone calls. Allow her to reflect on the time you spent together and let her wonder why she hasn't heard from you. This period of absence is when the emotional longing begins to take root. She starts to replay the experiences in her head, thinking about the things you said and how she felt in your presence. The art of strategic absence is also about being deliberate with your interactions. Instead of setting up another date right after the last one, let her be the one to initiate contact. If she reaches out first, that's a sign she's thinking about you and missing you. By allowing her to take the lead sometimes, you create a dynamic where she feels invested in keeping the connection alive. This isn't about disappearing entirely. It's about showing that you value your time and don't rush to be available at every moment. Example: let's say you had an amazing time with her on a Saturday night. Instead of texting her the next morning with a generic "had a great time last night" message, give it a couple of days. Let her sit with the memory. When you finally do text her on Tuesday, keep it casual and light, like, "Hey, hope your week is off to a great start." This shows that you aren't desperate for her attention and that your life has other priorities. This strategy leverages the power of anticipation. When you create moments of absence, she becomes more emotionally invested in the next interaction. She'll start to look forward to your messages or your presence because it isn't guaranteed, and that scarcity makes it more valuable. Remember, high-value men understand that space creates attraction. It gives her the time and opportunity to miss you and crave your presence. Section 6. Building emotional exclusivity. Emotional exclusivity is one of the most powerful ways to create a lasting impact on a woman's mind. Women, by nature, are emotional beings. If you can create a sense of emotional security and depth that she can't find with anyone else, she'll feel a deep bond with you. High-value men know that it's not just about being there physically. It's about creating a sense of emotional intimacy that feels special and unique. To build emotional exclusivity, you must show her that you're capable of having deep, meaningful conversations that go beyond the superficial. Most men talk about surface-level topics like hobbies or work. High-value men, on the other hand, know how to dive deeper into topics that matter, like life goals, dreams, and fears. When you connect with her on this level, she starts to feel that she's the only one who gets to experience this side of you. This makes her feel chosen and special. But the trick here is to reveal these emotional layers gradually. Don't rush into deep conversations or lay everything out at once. Instead, let her earn these moments of connection. By doing so, you create a sense of exclusivity. She knows that the version of you she gets to see isn't available to everyone, and that makes her feel even more invested. It's like peeling back layers of an onion. The more time she spends with you, the more she feels like she's getting closer to the core, and that keeps her wanting more. Example: let's say you're having a conversation and she mentions something about her childhood that shaped who she is. Instead of simply agreeing or making a surface-level comment, engage her by saying, "That's really interesting. I had a similar experience, but it's something I don't talk about much." Leave it at that. This statement is open-ended, and it leaves her wanting to know more. It builds intrigue and creates the foundation for deeper conversations in the future. She'll feel a desire to earn that level of openness from you, which creates an emotional bond. All right, guys, if you want to take control and become the kind of man women can't resist, remember, it's all about your mindset and how you carry yourself. Now, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more insights on mastering attraction and living a high-value life. Drop a comment below. What's one thing you think makes a man truly irresistible? I'd love to hear your thoughts. See you in the next one.